transition right now. And, look, everybody is kind of, I feel like there's just a lot of tension right now. I mean, the fan base, I mean, everybody's tense because we're losing players in the portal. Some recruits are leaving. We've got new coaches, right? Things are just so different right now. And it's just a lot different than what we're used to here in Alabama. So, I think everybody just kind of needs to relax a little bit, right? I feel like there's just so much tension and so much anxiety is trying to figure out how things are going. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what we think of a hire. It doesn't matter what you guys, the fans, think. It doesn't really matter what anybody thinks. It's a matter of how it plays out, and all you can do is just be patient and support as you can, the best that you can, and then see how things play out. Right? I mean, I've always gone by this. I mean, I don't care if you're assembling a team with a bunch of guys who are the best players in the world. It never guarantees you a championship. There's so many things that are involved. So with that being said, I'm just like everybody else. I'm learning about the new additions. This is just a tough time though when you start also seeing other folks, because you mentioned this about it's a big reaction, right? It's so basically Coach Saban retires. Washington's head coach, Coach DeBoer, takes a job here. Washington then is without a head coach. They hire Arizona's head coach. Arizona's now without a head coach. They're looking at, I think it was like San Jose's coach or whoever they're looking at, right? So then they're looking for a coach. We just hired South Alabama's head coach as our defensive coordinator. Now they need a coach. So it's been like a seismic reaction, not just here, but throughout the country and in college football since Coach Saban's retired. So I think there's just so many moving pieces that a lot of people, there's so many questions right now. But like you said, we're going to do our best to try to answer some of those questions. Getting the guest on, is it Pete Greenwood? Is that his last name? I'm sorry, I might be getting that right. I think you're on mute, but
it's Pat Greenwood. I'm sorry.
Pat Greenwood, there it is. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what he has to say, because I'll be honest, I don't know a whole bunch about Coach Womack. I'm still learning about him. I'm still learning about the type of defense he runs. I know a lot of people will start, quoting some of the stats of his defenses, and that's good. But you also got to remember there's so many factors. But one thing we do know is that he was serving as defensive coordinator at Indiana when Coach DeBoer was the offensive coordinator. And guess who the head strength coach was? David Ballou, right? So we basically have Indiana staff from 2019. If we're being real, right? We've got the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the head strength coach. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out. I'm definitely hopeful. I'm definitely going to be supportive. But I completely understand where you come from when you're not. How do you put this respectfully? There's a lot of people that it's like, oh, we just hired this guy. Yeah, home run, right? And I think we definitely should be optimistic and supportive without a doubt. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to learn more about these folks. And then if just saying like, hey, we're going to have to see how it works. Because look, this is a big job, right? It didn't matter who took this job. They've got their work cut out for them. And it's going to be tough. And it's going to be even tougher now when you lose guys. And look, we know that's part of the process. We already knew how this was going to go. It's not like this is a surprise that all these guys are entering the portal with the latest addition, Trey Amos, who was, prepared to be the starting cornerback this year, a guy that behind the scenes, these guys were extremely high on, right? I mean, I was told that he was their best cover corner in terms of, straight man-to-man coverage. They love this kid. And so it's unfortunate that he's entering the portal, but again, that comes with it. When you get a new coach, these guys are entitled to it. They have that 30-day window. If they feel like there's a better opportunity elsewhere, if they feel like a situation is going to be better for them, even if they want to chase money, as much as it hurts to say that, those are the rules now. It sucks. I'm not used to it at all, right? It's totally different, even though I was here not even that long ago. But that's part of college football. And, last thing fans need to do is go bash these kids because you don't know their story. You don't know their background. You don't know why they're doing what they're doing. If they want to do that, then let them do that. Just embrace the guys that actually want to be here. That's my advice to you guys. So anyway, there's a lot to dive into. And again, we obviously have 2 hours now. So we've got a lot of time to talk about this. We've got a lot of time to take calls, take some chats, the app messages. So again, download that Tide 100.9 app. If you haven't already, you can send us messages there. We got the YouTube stream going at the Miller's Edge. You can send us messages there. So we want to get everybody engaged on this. But again, things are still evolving. Things are still, coming around in terms of this coaching staff, this roster. So we will continue to talk about things as they develop. But again, Want to give a big thanks to our presenting sponsors, the Good Feet Store. If you're in any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, or back pain, go check them out now. You've got nothing to lose. Just try before you buy. They're in Midtown Village in Tuscaloosa, but you can always schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com. Again, that's Good Feet, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time.
All right, let's get real with it, and let's talk about this whole thing. You know, Kane Womack is a new defensive coordinator, head coach at South Alabama. And everybody, you know, as you said, alluded to that, you know, I'm not going to ever be quick to say somebody's a home run hire and all the stuff that, you know, again, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I don't know why a lot of the media are quick to say all these things. And that's why I say fan media. There's two different media. There's real media and then there's fan media. There's fan media that's going to support them. They're going to spin everything positive, and that's their deal. I ain't mad at that. But my point is, the reality is we don't know. You know, people are asking me here on the YouTube. People are tweeting, Xing me, all that good stuff. I don't know. I don't know enough about the guy for me to sit here and tell you that he will not be successful. I don't know enough to know about him to say he's going to be great. Now, you can tell me he was at Indiana, and I looked at stats, and then you know, you listen to our show, you know I'm not a big, you can't sell me with that. Stats tell part of the story, never tell the entire story. You know, you can tell me he's ranked 12th. You can tell me he, you know, with Oklahoma State and how they shut them out. Well, I think the following week, Central Michigan did the same thing. So is that an indictment on Oklahoma State, or is that's based on who South Alabama was, right? So we just got to be real. We don't know, because I could give you certain things to support my argument, but I don't know what he is and what he can do. I do know that he's probably the coordinator because he has a relationship with Coach Kalen DeBoer, because they coach together at Indiana. That we do know. That has a lot to do with it. He got somebody that he's comfortable with. He's got somebody that's been here in the state of Alabama, right? You see all of that good stuff, right? So my whole thing is this with the hire. You know, I don't know. It's Alabama. And I stay on, it's Alabama. It's the brand. And, you know, what we've seen, Alabama not being able to go get the names, right? The sexy name, the big name, the guy that everybody in the country is familiar with. We're seeing Alabama getting guys that people having to read and Wikipedia and YouTube to try to figure out what this person is and what they do. That's just where they are. You know, I was speaking to somebody about this earlier this morning, and he said this, you know, what Coach Saban did was phenomenal. I mean, nobody's going to be able to duplicate that. Nobody's going to be able to see that again. So you taking a step down. Now, they're going to have to prove that they are a step up, right? But right now, they are a step down based on what Coach Saban and the foundation he has laid. So, you know, Coach Womack, 4-2-5 guy, you know, we're looking at that defense. I'll talk about it more after the break. We got to hit to a break, what that means. But nobody can tell you it's a home run hire. Please, if you want to sit there and believe that, then you're that person that says, I'm just going to believe everything positive and that's what I'm hoping for, that's fine. But reality says we don't know. Reality says he really hadn't done that at a very high clip yet, right? And Big Ten offenses, okay, let's be real about it, is not that good. Ohio State, Penn State, and not even Michigan. Michigan's not no juggernaut offense. So other than that, who do they have to defend? So these stats can get blown up. Nothing personal against Coach Womack. But from a standpoint of covering the game,
you're just being realistic.
You don't know. You don't know who he is and what he's going to be. It ain't personal. Don't tell me he's a good guy. I hate when people saying all this stuff even about Kalen DeBoer. It's not. This is nothing personal. There's a lot of great, good dudes in coaching. Don't mean that they're going to be successful coaching football. So I'm just trying to give it to you from that standpoint. Don't know. But we can look at what he's done. We can look at the 4-2-5. We can kind of give you our thoughts on what that looks like for Alabama, who they got to fill those positions, and what it could be. We can project, but we don't know for fact. Quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk more about Coach Kalen DeBoer. We'll talk more about Kane. I get all these names right now. I want to say Saban. I want to say everything. Kane Womack. We'll talk more about him and his defense, new coordinator. We got a lot to get into in the program today, so stay tuned. 205-342-9904. Plus, we'll take phone calls. Again, don't forget, leave message on Tide 100.9, a free app. Noah Haynes is the best reader in the world. That's I'm gonna say it every day. He gets an A++. Quick timeout. We'll come right back.
What's up, everybody? Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Let's see if I can get through some of these chats. We're on break right now, so let's see who's in here. We got Sam in here. What's up, Sam? We've got B Jammin, Lorraine, Bobby's in here. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys hanging out with us during our show. Again, remember, because we're doing our radio show live here, but we're casting it over on YouTube. So it's our second day doing it. So we're going to keep trying to clean it up for you guys, but just glad you guys are in here hanging out. But again, if you haven't already, make sure you like the video. That helps us out. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe if you like the content. Leave a comment on your thoughts, what we're talking about. What are your thoughts on the new defensive coordinator hire? Do you like it? Do you love it? You hate it? Let us know down in the comments below. But just appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. Mike says, thanks for y'all's unbiased opinion coverage of Alabama football. Thank you, Roll Tide. Man, look, man, that's what we like doing. We're just talking about it from our football perspective. Now, obviously, he's going to probably be a little more critical than I am, right? But we just look at it from a true football perspective, and it's never personal at all. It's just simply just trying to offer our opinions honestly. And again, it's not like we can predict the future. We don't know things. We could be right, we could be wrong, but we're just having fun talking about it. So John said he made it back today. Hope y'all are doing well. Yes, sir. We're doing well, John. How are you? Thanks for coming back. Hey, Mary, what's going on? Bobby said he's excited for this coming year. Yeah, I think you should be, man. I mean, it's a new age, it's a new era. Things are going to be different, but growth is uncomfortable, right? And so we're definitely going to go through some growth, right? I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, we have a bunch of guys leaving, right? So we're going to have a lot of youth on our team. We've got all new coaches on our coaching staff, besides Freddie Roach and Robert Gillespie and some of the analysts like my guy Jamie Mosley. So it's definitely going to be new. But look, man, that's part of change. You got to go through growth. But I think we want to talk about this. So I'm going to bring it up. What is a realistic expectation for this first season? Because the more guys that leave, man, there's more guys you got to get in this system, and it's almost more of a challenge to having that start. It's like a fresh start because we're losing a lot of key players. So what are some realistic expectations for the first year or 2 years with this new regime? So maybe we can talk about that. Let's see. Me says 8-4. Oh, I mean, that's a fair assessment, but again, we'll have to wait and see. I hope that's not the case because we all know the standard here. People are not going to be happy with that, but I think that's fair to think like that, given so much change. I mean, sometimes you have to go through some of that, somewhat of that grind when you're going through that. I think we're about to come back on in a second, though. All right, yep. Noah says we've got 30 seconds. Again, a big shout out to Noah, our producer behind the glass. I like Womack a lot. I live in Mobile. Time will tell. He does it better. Exactly. Yeah, time will tell with all these hires, man. Good or bad. Time will tell. I agree with you, John. But yeah, we're going to have Pat. I keep forgetting his name. He's going to be joining us, though. He called games down there. But all right, we're about to go back on air. Here we go.
Is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
122 on the dial here in Columbia, South Carolina. That will be 12:22 your time, T-Town. We'll get you right. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, our good friend Pat Greenwood, he's a part of the South Alabama's broadcast team, knows Coach Womack extremely well, so we'll learn a lot about him. So we got that for you, because just like you, we don't know a lot, but he will join us here at about 12:32 or so to give us some information on the man that has led South Alabama's football team the last few years, was the coordinator at Indiana, where he met Kalen DeBoer. Both were coordinators there, so there was a relationship. And as we talked about, even with the T-Rob situation, the reason why I told you from day one he was not going to leave Georgia was because of the relationship with one Will Muschamp that he was the coordinator for, and been with them at Florida, been with them at Auburn, been with them at South Carolina. So now he makes a choice to stay down with the boys in Athens. So we'll get to more of that. But let's talk a little bit more, Christian, before we get to KJ and some others that's on the phone. You know, Coach Womack runs a 4-2-5, and if you know football, when we say 4-2-5, we talking about 4 down defensive linemen. Now, that being said, those two ends, which is what they are in the 4-2-5, could be stand-up guys like we've seen at Alabama. We've seen guys, you know, like Dallas Turner. We've seen guys like Chris Braswell at times, depending on nickel or regular, whatever they're doing, they play the end position, or at least one of them. And then you play with 2 inside linebackers, right? Those are your guys. Those are your, you know, Dante Lawsons. Those are your Campbells of the world that will play inside. And then, of course, you have 5 secondary guys. So basically, it's what we call nickel. Back in the world of football, that would be straight nickel defense all day long, where in our old 4-3 or even 3-4, where one of the backers come out, you replace them with the faster, smaller guy, secondary guy. Some people call them Spurs. Some people call them all kind of different names. But it's a defensive back, more of a safety type that can play a little bit of the run and yet play pass. So that's basically what he runs. He runs a nickel defense. Now, the thing about that 4-2-5, and it's great when you're playing against 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, right? 1 tight end, 1 back. It lines up against the run sometimes, but not all the time. So a lot of times you're a little bit more susceptible when you run that defense, and the run game is better for more of a pass defense, if that makes sense.
To be fair, Alabama runs, well, in the past several years, our base was a 3-4 defense, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers, which I was the same linebacker in that scheme. However, to be fair, we haven't run regular or our base personnel, but maybe, I think statistically, I remember they said it was maybe less than 10% of the snaps over the past several years. So that being said, Alabama pretty much operated out of a 4-2-5 or a nickel defense probably about 90% of the time over the last few years. So it's not a huge change. However, the change is the base will be a 4-2-5. I don't think there will be such a 3-4 base anymore.
There won't be a 3-4. He's a base nickel.
Right. So what I'm saying is doesn't make a huge difference because we played nickel 90% of the time anyway, but go ahead.
I get that. But the point is
I'm explaining to the fans that there's no huge difference. So,
but anyway, what you can do out of that defense is run a lot of pressures, right? And I think when we've seen, and I'm going to go look at more film, and I'll be able to tell you more about this defense when I see it myself with my eyes and what he does, I would probably assume that they run a lot of pressures out of that defense. So you're going to see guys moving, things that you heard me talk about that Alabama didn't do. Even though Alabama ran a 4-2-5, they were more the generic version of the 4-2-5. They were more still of a base out of their front because they didn't bring pressures a lot. They didn't do a lot of stunning. They weren't heavy, playing across the line of scrimmage, right? They still believed in defeating your guy. That's Nick Saban's principle. Hands, hat, and hands, shug it and shed and get rid of. They were more about that, whereas I think this guy's going to be more about imposing his will on the offense, if you will, with the 4-2-5. I think you're going to see a lot more pressures out of this defense, which I like. That part alone, if that's what he is, and we'll know more from Pat Greenwood, who's going to join us here in about 6-7 minutes, if that's what he does defensively, I like it. Because you heard me say many times, Christian, that I wanted Alabama to be more aggressive. I wanted them to change. I wanted Nick change his style a little bit to where this defense of Alabama imposed their will on the offense. I felt like they sat back too much. And the fact that they did not have the recruiting that we had Tom calling a couple of days ago, or it might have been yesterday, and he talked about the defensive line. They haven't had that caliber of athlete in a long time. They didn't have them dudes that play with you that could just disrupt shop right up front without having to put pressure on the quarterback. So that's all I'm saying. Now you just got dudes. If you just got average Joe Blows, well, you better be able to move them around. So if you're going to get an athlete, if you're going to get an end like his name Overton, they just signed for Texas A&M. I believe I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
Guys like that, body guys that can move, that's got good feet, right? You want guys attacking, man. You want them guys coming downhill. You want them guys imposing their will. Where Alabama, in my opinion, with the defense, was a little bit soft, and that's why I thought when we see Robert Asher, by the way, who just word is he's transferring to South Carolina here to where I'm at in Columbia, South Carolina, to the Gamecocks. This dude he crushed Alabama 2 years ago in Tuscaloosa running the football. We've seen, LSU with Jaden Daniels because they got out of lanes and things like that. So I think what Womack is going to do is going to be more aggressive. And I think that bodes well when you have 5-star caliber athletes that can run. And I think now what makes great coaching when you're able to utilize that and use those guys based on their ability.
Yeah, and I'm watching some of these clips again. I mean, I'm just diving into this. I don't know enough about him to really feel comfortable, I guess assessing his defense just yet, other than, we know about the 4-2-5 and stuff. But looking at it, it's very similar to kind of how we ran our nickel. It looks like they have a stand-up end, which would be relatable to our jack, and then, 3 more true down linemen. In this scheme, from what I see, at least from the first tape that I'm watching, which is Oklahoma State. So it looks similar. Again, that's why I was just making that point. You were right in the way you're explaining it, but I just was, for fans listening, might not understand. We pretty much play nickel all the time now at this point. And people really get creative with it where, like you said earlier, I mean, even in a 4-2-5, you could have 2, athletic ends in that scheme, right? And have those guys stand up, move them around, drop them. So things can, be very flexible for what I'm saying. I have heard they like to call this a swarm, his swarm D. So I guess that means, guys are flying to the ball, they're being relentless. I like that. Again, I'm going to have to watch more on it than give more of an assessment. But look, man, the bottom line is that they're doing what they can. I'm not going to be one of these guys going to say, oh, home run hire just yet, because I'm still learning myself. But looking at some of the things that he's done, I like some of the pieces on his resume. In his final season at Indiana in 2020, he was a finalist for the Broyles Award, which goes to the top assistant coach in the country. So I think there's a lot to be positive about. Plus, you add into the fact he's coming from Mobile, got some SEC ties. I think he was a grad assistant at Ole Miss under Hugh Freeze. So he knows the SEC. He's got ties to the Southeast. That's going to be helpful in recruiting. So I think it is a very solid hire. I think it helps that he's got continuity with the head coach already. So we'll see how it works out. I'm excited to learn more about him, but that is a good start though, to go ahead and fill that position, because again, guys have a 30-day window. I think today would probably be, today's Tuesday. So it's been 6 days since Coach Saban retired. Maybe that window's at around 24 days now. So you need to start hiring folks, and they made that hire. So hopefully we can see what happens from here, but we got to take a quick time out because we got to get Pat on here.
All right, got to hit a break. Again, if you're on hold, 205-342-9904, sit right there. We definitely going to get to some phone calls. But when we come back, we'll talk with a man, Pat Greenwood, who covers South Alabama play-by-play and as a color analyst on ESPN+. We'll talk with him about the new defensive coordinator of the Crimson Tide, Mr. Womack. That's coming up on the flip side of this break. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't miss out on limited-time appliance deals during the closeout event at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on...
All right, let's see what we got here.
A lot of good questions here on the chat.
What's it say? Mike says, Christian 100, I agree.
I mean, whoever was asking about T-Rob, I don't have it right now, but he was offered a really good contract to be the defense coordinator. It was not a co-coordinator. He would have been the guy. There's no doubt, and we'll talk about it later on, that he was the guy that they needed to keep. I mean, I can say that I would have chosen him over if I had a choice defensively, not just based on his coordinating, but also based on relationships and keeping that locker room and then recruiting. I think he gives you the bigger piece of the pie. Now, this guy, we can say he's been around, but we don't know. He's not some tireless recruiter. I mean, but I think
But T-Rob turned it down.
Been around. He's still got to prove that again. But T-Rob would have been the guy that you want just based on overall. Some guy had asked me about that. I saw that in the chat.
Yeah, but the thing is that T-Rob turned it down.
I think T-Rob was offered the job. Yes, that's a emphatic yes.
Can you hear me?
Christian, I can't hear you, by the way. I can just see your mouth move.
Well, yeah. So all I was adding was that, yeah, T-Rob was offered the job. They offered him the moon and the stars, but he turned it down. He chose to stay in Georgia. So obviously they wanted T-Rob. He was their first choice. Clearly, that's why they interviewed him first and gave him that bid. And they trust me, they tried to do what they could to get him to stay, but ultimately he chose to stay put in Georgia. That's what kind of what we were saying yesterday. It was just kind of tough to go against those guys that you got really close ties to, and Kirby Smart, specifically Will Muschamp. Sorry, I was drawing a blank, but I think he just didn't want to go against those guys. And all right, here we go. We're back on there.
9.
All right, welcome back to the Miller's Edge here on a Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. Corey Miller, the passer Payne, Christian Miller, Noah Haynes producing the show on today. Alabama has found their guy. Coach Womack of South Alabama is the new defense coordinator for Kalen DeBoer, a guy that's been around the Southeast, knows, I'm sure, the SEC well, knows the South period when it comes to recruiting, but bringing a different philosophy, a different brand of football to the Crimson Tide. Because all the years, the last 17, we've known Nick Saban and Nick Saban's defense, but now things are definitely going to change. We welcome to the show Pat Greenwood, who is a color analyst, he is a play-by-play, depending on where the game is, ESPN Plus as well. We don't know everything about this new coordinator, but Pat Greenwood, our guest now, who joins us, does. Pat, thank you so much, sir, for giving us some of your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And number one, thanks for pronouncing it Womack. Coach has been down here for a couple of different stints, and we still hear Womack and whatever it may be. It is Womack. So you guys are right on the head.
Yeah, man, we got to do our work. We got to do the homework, man, to get it right. We don't want to make you mad right off the bat. So, I'm just going to be honest. We don't really, know a lot just based on, we can all go to Wikipedia and we can go to YouTube and Google. We can find out things about coaches and read stats. I'm not always a big stats guy. My son would tell you that. But you have covered this guy. You've been in production meetings. You've been on the road. You've watched games. You know what he calls, what he likes. Give the Alabama fans really, who are we getting in Coach Womack?
Well, and I think you really hit it, because you can look up the stats. You can see what we did against Oklahoma State. You can see how the defense has improved since he's been here. But I'm going to talk about Kane, the guy, because Kane, the guy, is outstanding. He's a guy that really embraced our community here in Mobile. He was part of Joey Jones's staff when we started football. He was actually the part of Joey's last staff here, went to go to Indiana and then came back here as the head coach, embraced the city, embraced the culture, and has changed the culture of South Alabama football. His best recruiting job, find a picture of he and his wife, Melissa, is not only a beautiful woman, but one of the nicest people you're ever going to want to meet. And his family's fantastic. Obviously, Dave's been around the program a lot. So you're getting a quality individual, obviously that knows football, obviously that can get the job done on any level. But you don't always hear that about their individual personalities, and that's one of the things I wanted to stress about Kane is he's a good guy, and you're getting a good guy.
Well, that's what we like to hear, because obviously, Alabama, we like to pride ourselves in having a program of integrity and those types of things. So it sounds like he'll fit in from that standpoint. But defensively, what have you noticed from his defenses, and what can you kind of give us, Pat, about his defenses that that type of philosophy that he might bring here to Alabama?
Yeah, you're going to hear the term swarm defense over and over and over and over again. But it's a swarm to the ball mentality. You'll see some exotic blitzes. You'll see a couple stunts up front, but you'll see blitzes coming from different areas at different times. I think he's good at scouting what the offense is going to do, and then knows how and where to apply the pressure. I think that's the big thing. He is obviously okay with guys tackling in space, but he wants 3 and 4 guys there at a time. And so you're going to see that swarm defense mentality up and down the roster. He wants quick guys. He wants individuals that can get to the ball quickly, that can shed the blocks. And so, you're going to come up with a very stout defense for sure.
Pat, when we look at the 4-2-5, and Chris and I were just explaining to the folks here, because we know regular, it was always, but when I played, I'm old school, right? Leather helmets,
right?
Regular personnel. You got your 3-4, you got your 4-3, you got the big defensive lineman. Now, the game has changed. Let's be honest. We know the game now is a space game. The game now is basketball on court, right? It spreads you out.
Correct.
Use the entire field. So you got to have speed. This 4-2-5 is basically a nickel defense, 5 secondary guys. But how do you use that? Is he a guy that, I heard you said shedding blocks and things like that, swarm, but is he more of would you measure him as more of a pressure guy, bringing pressure, imposing his will, or is he more of a Nick Saban type still to read and react?
Yeah, it's much more read and react. He depends a lot on the front 4 getting pressure, and so your defensive linemen are going to be key in that process. He wants the defensive lineman to be able to get pressure, to be able to allow the 7 back behind him to read and react. So definitely again, a speed guy. He wants, what's your assignment? You've got an assignment every play. It's the same thing that you guys have with Nick Saban. You have an assignment every play, do your job every play. He's very big on eye discipline. And that's one of the things that's very tough to teach the young kids, especially these days, because they want to make the ESPN highlight, and they want, the eyes get big when a play starts. But he's very big on your eye discipline. This is what you're supposed to do on this play. This is where you should be on this play. Don't freelance and make a spectacular play, because 9 times out of 10, that's going to result in something big being given up behind you.
Pat, one other aspect of coaching in college football is your ability to recruit. And that might be, I don't know if you pay much attention to it, but how do you think he'll fare, coming here to the University of Alabama, and how do you think he'll do in his ability to go out there and recruit guys? We're seeing, Alabama, losing some guys, which is expected. Coach Saban retires,
Sure.
Guys going to leave the portal, but now they've got to replenish. Do you feel that, his recruiting ability will be enough to kind of uphold that standard? Because we know at Alabama, we're used to top 2 recruiting classes year in and year out. Do you think that he'll be able to contribute to that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's going to obviously have the contacts that DeBoer, for example, won't, because he hasn't been in this state very long.
Right.
So he'll certainly have the contacts to do that. We're a little different down here in that. So just a quick history of South Alabama football. We didn't start football until 2009. It's not like we were playing 1AA or Division II or Division III. We had 0 football until 2009. Became a Division I program in 2012. Been to 4 bowl games since then. But we just built an on-campus stadium back in 2020. We just got a covered facility. So recruiting down here has been a challenge. We finally got all the pieces in place, actually, when Coach Womack came in here, and we've seen the personnel certainly get better and better. I think a large part of that, obviously, is where we are. It's the facilities that we have, because if you look at our facilities compared to a lot of the other Group of 5 facilities, I think we're way ahead. But it's also because of the type of guy that Kane is. He's a high energy guy. He is very much, here's what I'm going to expect from you, and here's how it's going to be done. But I would say he's more of a player's coach, I think, than maybe comes across initially. So the recruiting here has gone up for sure, and I attribute a lot of that to Kane and the coaches that he has around him. So I don't think he's going to have a problem. Look, Alabama's never going to have a problem attracting talent. That's the way it is. But I think he can keep the top tier in-state talent here, because he's the type of guy that you want to play for.
Yeah, sounds like, and I can definitely tell you, based on been friends with Jim Nagy, who's runs the Senior Bowl, and they use those facilities there at South Alabama and Mobile. They are some, I would probably say, top 3, top 5 in the group of 5. And with that covered area that they have now, I mean, it is spectacular down there. They have done an outstanding job, no doubt. Pat Greenwood is our guest here on the Miller's Edge. Pat, you know, Kane is, you told us so much about him, right? And we know we talked about this a little bit this morning. Somebody gets hurt, right? So to what's Alabama's gain, and everybody's saying, you know, home run higher, you know, grand slam, you know, we're happy, you know, but South Alabama, there's tears, right? There's like, man, we had a guy and we thought we was going to build something special, but talk from that standpoint, like where do they go and what does that mean for their program?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It stings down here. But, you know, we are obviously, as you said, a group of 5 program that we've been dealing with this and roster shuffles and everything for years because that's what happens on the group of 5 level. We're seeing it more and more on that Power 5 level now. But, yeah, I mean, it hurts for sure because, again, I think he was building something special. I think that he made a big emphasis of buying into the city of Mobile. You know, because we haven't had football for so long, you know, most people who grew up here in Mobile either rooted for Alabama or for Auburn. They didn't have South Alabama as an option. And so he did a fantastic job of trying to integrate the football program that we have here at South Alabama into the community. So yeah, we're losing not only a good man, a good football coach, but a guy that did care about the city. Now that said, I think his staff that's still here, another guy that obviously you guys are very well aware of is Major Applewhite. Major has been our offensive coordinator ever since Kane was the head coach. I have no inside information whatsoever, but I've got to imagine that Major's going to get a really hard look at this head coaching position. So, you know, and I think for continuity's sake, that would make a whole lot of sense. I mean, Major's already been a head coach. Obviously, he worked under Coach Saban, knows the Alabama system, knows this system in and out. So I would think that's where we would head. But, you know, there's a lot of other names being tossed around, and that's, you know, these are the days where I am infinitely grateful that I'm not an athletic director, because all I've got to do is show up and talk about who's playing and what they're doing and how they're doing it. So I don't have to make that decision, but I would think that Major will get will get a very hard look at this job because I think it'd be great at it.
Yeah, that's you know, I've spent time when Chris was there at the Senior Bowl at South Alabama and just talking to the folks there, the great folks at Mobile. A lot of Alabama fans are there, that's for sure. And I guess they probably feel a little bit bad, Pat, they had to pluck one of your very own. But
yeah, I think some do. Some are like, well, who cares? It's just South. And you know, those are the people we're never going to reach, but that's okay.
That's okay. It all works out, man. You do a great job, and I really, really appreciate you joining. I hope it's not the first time, because I love to stay in touch to see which direction they're going to go, man. We thank you for all that you do covering as a color analyst and a play-by-play. So you put both hats on depending on where you are, what stadium that you're in, I guess. But thank you so much. Yep.
Hey, glad to do it. And anytime you guys want, give me a buzz. I'd love to be back.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Day, sir. There is Pat Greenwood. He covers South Alabama, knows Kane Womack better than anybody. So there you go. Nobody knows better than him, even all these national guys. You go to the local guys that spend the time with folks, that they'll tell you everything that you need to know. So we appreciate him. Quick timeout. We'll come back. It is 12:47 on the dial. We'll come back. We'll get some calls. We'll talk about the interview. We'll respond. What say you? 205-342-9904. This is the Miller's Edge. Motor Tide 100.9. 12:30 a.m. WTBC. We are the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, my name is Alani. A little thing I like about the Spicy Deluxe sandwich is that you taste the crunch, you taste the pepper jack cheese melting, and you taste the spicy flavors in the sandwich. I'm telling you, 10 out of 10.
Hi, my name's Enrique. A little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is you get that rich flavor of the chicken and definitely that nice, tangy, warm bite. It's the perfect harmony of spiciness and taste.
What I'm using
Order the Spicy Deluxe Sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Field guests pay for their testimonials.
I'm hearing a little bit of echo on the broadcast. So I had
Have
to
you seen
try to
our
put my
artisan
phone further
created
away. So
diamonds?
sorry. I
If
had
you've
to
been in a room
disappear
with one,
for a second. Let's see
can't
some of these
miss it.
comments.
Tom Osmond from Fincher and Osmond.
It's a
Yeah, I see you
diamond
guys said
like I've
his
never
mic's
seen.
low.
He's
Hey
seen a
Noah,
lot
can we
of
turn
diamonds.
my dad's mic up
So
just
we'll
a little
have
bit?
a last segment here. We'll have about 5 minutes when we get back. So before the top of the hour.
Can we turn his mic up a little bit?
Oh, we got KJ. Let me check and see if he's still with me. If he's here, do you want to take him?
Yeah, we can take him. All right. We're going to take calls when we get back. We're going to be a little short on time. Probably have like 9 minutes or so, but we're going to go to the phone lines. Thank you, Mimi. Yep. If you guys don't mind, hit that thumbs up. That helps us out a lot. Man, I got to figure this out. What I might do is I might just have to put my phone, I might have to take my video off during the show, but it's still going to be playing. I can't have the background noise echoing on here, but I'll still run the show as normal. I'm just not going to have my video stream going. And we're going to try to get my dad's audio turned up. Appreciate everybody in here, man. Let's see what else we got. G-Man says, glad you guys are on. I agree with Pastor's first priority should have been to get T-Rob. I'm a Bama fan. Have been for years. We love defense. Oh, yeah. But unfortunately, T-Rob turned the job down. They offered him the D coordinator job and everything you could imagine, but he turned it down. And you gotta move on. So Christian Hughes, Roll Tide, Roll, Bama Nation. Roll Tide, guys. Hey, Noah, could you turn my mic down just a little bit? Because it's catching this background noise for whatever reason. My phone is like playing some of it. So I'll choke the mic or whatever if I have to, but I just don't want it to. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Hopefully that gets that fixed for you guys. But any news on Downs? I haven't heard anything yet, but here we go. What I was going to say real quick was he was, from my understanding, he's been in all the meetings and whatnot. So I think he's still taking it day by day, but he's got to be patient because, again, there's a 30-day window that I'm assuming is about 24 days or so left.
And welcome back to the Miller's Edge on a Tuesday. Corey Miller, Christian Miller, Noah Haynes. Time 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC. 205-342-9904. We love the people. We love the people. We love them on YouTube. Hi, everybody. We love all of you. We love you on air. We love you on Tide 100.9. And we love talking to you. So let's go to the phone lines. Let's talk to KJ. KJ, welcome into the Edge, brother. You're up next.
Yo.
Yo, what's up?
How y'all doing?
Doing well, man.
Corey,
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Corey, I want to ask you, who else in because you said that, Alabama took a step down. I took that as offensive, low key. But in terms of DC hiring, who else is on the market? Who else is on the market that would have moved? They tried T-Rob, and that was a move to keep the locker room.
You'd have to poach somebody, KJ. You got to take them from somebody else's staff.
But I'm saying what name? So, what name moved weight like that?
Right. But my thing, of course, T-Rob is my number one guy, and I gave my reason why. I said there was a 3-for-1, right? The coordinating, the relationships, that keeping this locker room together is important. I know a lot of people are making light of the fact, KJ, that guys are transferring, but I don't.
Oh no. I'm not in that. I
mean, Amos was my dude. When he played, anytime he played last year, I was shouting from the clouds about this guy and how he should have played more, in my opinion. Nyblack to, all these other guys, Bond to even some of these other guys, because depth is an issue. And these are depth.
No, I agree with that. Right? My point is, after T-Rob,
I don't know a lot about, Kane. We just talked with Pat Greenwood, and who was enlightening. That's why I wanted him on the show, because I want to learn, right? Who is this guy? I'm going to look at his defense. Then I'll be able to give you my better opinion. But at the same time, when you just, as a fan, just say, oh, a great hire based on, a very, very modest resume. I haven't done a ton. Kind of like Caleb DeBoer, in my opinion. These resumes are still modest. We still have to have some questions. I think that's a fair thing. Now, I like the guy over at Iowa, to be honest with you.
Okay, I'm not in that group. I'm not in that group of people that, the fans that think he's like, I don't know. I'm just saying, where else could you have went? Like,
I don't
know.
The
hires are the hires.
Glenn Schumann would have been.
He's not leaving.
He wasn't leaving, though. He wasn't going to leave.
So, yeah, you know what I mean? There's no other names
that you put the money out there and say, hey, man, make them say no.
Right. Well,
he made T-Rob say no to him.
Well, that's why I'm down the middle. But you also got to remember that you're fighting against time. They didn't really have time to start, going down the list of, hey, who can we? I mean, because they had time is of the essence. You just talked about losing guys. Well, part of the reason guys are probably leaving is if you don't have a staff, they're going to start. They're going to start looking.
What about a guy like Jim Leonard?
I mean,
I'm sure there's. Would he move Nate? Like, would he move? Like the locker room, though, like would he? You know what I mean? Like at that point, it's a wash.
Here's my thing.
But he is a bigger name.
But here's my thing. I don't go off. I said it earlier. I don't really care about names, like whether it's a coach or a player, because a lot of the time we see this. There's a lot of people that just have big names, but they're not right for the job. Whether it's a fit thing or they might be past their prime, whatever. And again, that goes for coaches or players. You can say the same thing in the NFL. A lot of people just go off of names, but there's a lot of players that might not necessarily have that name yet. But then we see them year in and year out. There's new guys that step on the scene. That's why I've always chose to be patient, because, again, I don't know too much about Kane Womack, only because I haven't watched South Alabama. Now, when looking at his resume, I get, he's still, doing some things, but he has done some good things. I mean, even last year, their stats did look good. I understand completely that I see both sides of it. Like, yes, they played Oklahoma State great, but you had a good point. There's a couple games where they gave up a good amount of points to other teams, but at the same time, he did good. Scoring D was 27th, rush D was 12th, pass D 28th, total D 15th. Now, am I going to put all my eggs in the stats basket? No, but I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be optimistic just because I see the good things that he has done, and I think he can be a good coach. But like everybody's been saying, we don't know. Nobody knows how this is going to play out. It could be phenomenal. It could be terrible. Who knows, right? You just have to be patient. That's why I'm eager for spring ball. Spring ball will start kind of getting a little bit of a preview how things can start taking shape. But as of now, I'm just kind of trying to learn as much as I can. But I'm with you, KJ. I mean, I don't know. It seems like, unfortunately, it's just slim pickings right now. A lot of people are already put, because you got to think that window, like right after the season ended, you saw some movement. But then Coach Saban retired a few weeks after that, right? So people kind of have already been settling in, and people that got fired already finding new spots. There wasn't a bunch of guys that were just available. However, you probably, if you wanted to, you could have, plucked somebody from another roster. But I think the biggest thing was time is of the essence. These guys have familiarity with each other. He's a solid coach. I mean, he's got a lot of good a lot of people say a lot of great things, but I think he can be a great coach. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yep, we got you.
Okay. This is the second question that I had. The question is, because I was talking to a couple of buddies who played, and of course they were like, "Nah," because Christian, y'all low key be hating on the NIL. But
who? Who's y'all?
Y'all former pro player and y'all pro players. But this is what I stated.
Whoa! Hold on. Wait. Let me explain myself. Hold on. I promise you, I don't hate on it. I come from a different. No, I hear what you're saying. There are some people that feel a type of way, but what I'll say is, I have that standpoint because I'm telling you about me as a person. Like, I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know me personally or if you know my story. But like I was about to say, like I saw you once. I saw you and OJ Howard once when we were going to
somewhere. Yeah, I saw you one.
Y'all
saw you
going to
one.
clubs. Go ahead and
No,
say
we ain't going to no club. We ain't not going to no club. No, but I'm just telling you right now, though. I didn't even sniff money, ask for money. I'm the type of dude. No. I'm telling you, when I came in here, I waited my turn. I discussed. No. Let me just finish. I'm just saying. I discussed red shirt, and I'm different. I don't care about waiting my turn. Different. I'm patient. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about this stuff. I don't care about likes on Instagram. I can give two craps about in that crap. I'm not like that. You feel me? Yeah.
This is my question though, because I saw it on Twitter. I saw Tia had posted it, and everybody was like, "No," but I ran this by my buddies, and I'm like, she actually speaking truth. If I'm them, I would tell Caleb Downs, who are we hiring? And whoever he wants to hire, that's who my hire is.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
And they were like, no, you can't do. Like, no. These are college kids. I'm like, this is no longer a college game anymore. This is a professional.
We have no more amateurism.
I disagree with that. I'm not basing a coaching hire based off one guy.
That's why you fell right into it. Yeah,
if I want to win, and if I know a kid's that important to me, I'm just saying, and I think KJ, you're right. Listen,
exactly.
He would be very vital.
Think about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. Right. They're gonna go right to them and tell them who are we hiring.
Whoa! Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan.
This is what we're in now.
He is generational. Man, come on.
Generational type of player, and I want to keep my generational type of player. So sometimes you got.
I do too, but you can keep them with in other ways with NIL. I don't know about baseball.
It's ching-a-ling-a-linga. Cheddar cheese, government cheese, whatever you want, cheese, please. That's how you keep them. So, back up. What do they call the money?
The Brinks truck. Brinks truck.
Exactly.
Back up the Brinks truck to his address.
Caleb, let's hire the cornerback coach. Let's go. Who we hiring?
We'll talk about that. All right, KJ, we got to go, buddy.
All right, appreciate it, KJ.
Appreciate your call. We'll come back. We'll entertain that. Are you concerned about players jumping out? I got a lot of feedback on social media about 25 kids. All of a sudden, Alabama fans don't care. I do. I think it's important, and I'll discuss right in the middle of the day. Go to Tide 1.9, 1230 AM, WTBC, sponsored by our good friends at the Good Feet Store, America's Experts. We'll be back.
All right, man. What are y'all's thoughts about that one, man? Are y'all all for letting the best player? I mean, if that was the case, you might as well have asked Milroe who he thought the head coach or offense coordinator should have been. I get what he's saying, but at the same time, man, I just wouldn't base a coordinator hire off of one guy. I mean, especially, as great as Caleb is, man, I mean, he's young. I highly doubt he has any opinions. If anything, he probably would have chose T-Rob, but again, T-Rob ended up ultimately choosing to stay at Georgia. Hard to hear, Corey. Wait, let me tell him. He's got to move his phone from his mic because every time. Had to skip out Christian playing for Saban. Do you like the DC hire if you were a current player? Man, Joey, I gave my thoughts earlier on him. Like I'll be honest, I think it's a good hire. I can't say too much just yet because I really don't know. That's why I was saying a minute ago. I don't really watch South Alabama, so I don't know a whole bunch about them. I didn't watch Indiana. Matter of fact, I was still playing, so I definitely really wasn't keeping up with them. But from what I've seen, no, I mean, on his resume, he's done some good things. I think he's a good football coach. The issue, guys, is that we're talking about Alabama, and these guys are coming in to, try to carry the torch of Coach Saban, right? Those are some really, really big shoes to fill. So it's not that I don't think people are I don't think it's that if people are like my dad, for instance, I don't think he's trying to be too critical. He's just being realistic, just saying like, we're going to have to see how this thing goes, right? I mean, you just don't know. right? I mean, it's different. You know, it'd be different if you hired a guy like Glenn Schumann, who has proven himself on the SEC level. He's been coaching at Georgia. Those guys are doing it right. When you're talking about a program like Alabama, it's almost like the expectation is to get a guy like that because they're so proven. With that being said, I think this guy could come in and be a really good football coach. But again, we'll have to wait and see. He's going to have to adjust and adapt to this level. With that being said, I think we've hired some really good football coaches. But again, it's just different, right? Like normally when you have like an elite coach like Coach Saban, or I mean, you look at these other prominent basketball coaches, right? Normally there's like a coach waiting, right, from within, and you kind of just promote from within, and you're not necessarily starting all the way over, which sometimes that does happen, but I feel like more times than not, it's more so promoting from within. We heard Roman Harper talk about that yesterday. I think that's why this feels so different, because I mean, our head coach is coming from Washington. He dominated NAIA, but again, he's still kind of working, quote unquote, working his way up. I know he's arrived. He just brought Washington to a national championship game, but still, you guys know what I mean, right? It's not like you hired a guy like Dabo or Kirby, right? That being said, they still can work. They still can be very successful. It just is different. I think that's why there's so much tension, and there's so much, I hate to even say it, but anxiety about the whole thing right now. It's just because it's a very tricky situation. So those are my thoughts, guys. Christian says, do you think Coach DeBoer did more with less talent while at Washington? Now, that's a great point. That was one of my arguments that we talk a lot about, his ability to recruit this and that, but that's a great point. Then the argument is, well, his offensive line won the Joe Moore Award, and they didn't have half the stars that we had on our O-line, and we gave up 40-something sacks, and they gave up 12. So that's why I'm one of those people that don't get caught up in the big names, just like I was saying a minute ago. Like, I don't really care so much about names. I'm more so about action and production. Good deal. All right, we got about 20 seconds. Tyler says, what's the caller number? 205-342-9904. Yeah, if you guys want to call in. I'm having to use my other phone to do this. I don't have my laptop, but I'm trying to, let me see if I can type it. Here we go. We're about to go live.
You're on the Miller's Edge, 100.9, the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Again, thanks to Pat Greenwood, play-by-play and color analyst, does both. When on the road, I think he's with ESPN Plus as a color, and then at home he does play-by-play, knows Coach Kane Womack extremely well. And for those, again, I want to teach you, his name is not Womack, it's Kane Womack. So Pat told us about that. He's glad that we got it right. So make sure you get his name right before you see him out at the, Fred's or one of these places.
Fred's?
Go eat.
Who's Fred's?
And they got a burger place called Fred's or something like that?
Yeah, Freddy's, right?
Yeah, Freddy's,
place.
yeah.
But no,
Yeah, what I'm talking about.
what's confusing is, remember, so we had Matt Womack, who was one of my teammates, played tackle from Mississippi, but it was W-O-M, just one M. Coach Womack has two M's, so I guess the pronunciation is Womack, which makes sense. But no, I like, yeah, he's Womack. But I liked what Pat had to say about him. That got me excited. He said,
That's a great interview. I hope we can cut that, Noah, and post that.
Yeah, we can for sure. I mean, he said they got the swarm D. They like to, bring pressure. You alluded to that with that nickel defense. So I think it'll be good. I mean, that's honestly kind of what college football has slowly been shifting to. That's why we don't see as much of that base 3-4 style defense. Because again, I mean, I was on Greg McElroy's show with Cole Kubik earlier talking about that.
McElroy, I mean, everybody's favorite.
But we were talking about that. I mean, with the way, the offenses and their philosophies have shifted, right? When McElroy was in the SEC, it was so run heavy, right? Now it's, pass heavy, right? It's a pass heavy league. So you got to adjust and adapt, and the 4-2-5 is one of those things. It allows for some flexibility, like I mentioned, having that outside linebacker. So the good news is, the other thing that we had mentioned was personnel-wise, we should be fine, right? That's one thing to consider. Sometimes when there's a coordinator change and he comes in and he's faced with having a roster, they might not be that roster. I'll give you an example. When I was with Carolina, right, we had a 3-4 defense with Ron Rivera. Then Matt Rule comes in. right? It shifted a little bit. I forgot, drawing a blank. But when the coordinators change, sometimes they come in, they might run a 4-2-5 defense, but you have 3-4 personnel. So you've got a bunch of, athletic 235, 245 pound outside linebackers. It's kind of a conflict right there, right? When you want to go to that 4-2-5, that's more of a traditional defensive end in that system. But from seeing Coach Womack's, he has more of like that jack line offense. And so with that being said, I think it should be pretty smooth transition, but good stuff from Pat. I know we've got some more folks on the phone lines, unless you wanted to. I know you mentioned wanting to talk about Caleb real quick.
Up the beginning of this hour, we are going to talk about, are you concerned? What's your level of concern? I know on social media that a lot of folks got on me because I posted Exodus, meaning that, yeah, we expect it. Yeah, it always going to be turnover when you have a new coach in town, but it's Alabama. There's going to be a different kind of expectancy, right? And when we talk about the brand A and we talk about what that means, and Coach Saban, we're seeing that the brand A without Coach Saban may not mean what we think today when we throw in NIL and all the other factors that go into it. But we've seen a couple of 2025, one decommitted, then committed to Florida State. Florida State is the new Alabama, I'm assuming, because they got 3-4 guys from the roster already.
No, sir, 5 or 6.
5 or 6 and still poaching. So we got to get into that. And before we get to the phones, Caleb Downs, by the way, many of you don't know this, but Caleb Downs' father is a great friend of mine, Gary Downs. Gary Downs played with me with the New York Football Team. Okay, so a lot of these things I just want you to know. So it's not just some weird thing. Gary Downs, who played at NC State, running back, played for us with the Giants. Good friend of mine, his father, who's in the FCA. We all in the Christian community. As a preacher, he's big at FCA, so I'm just telling you that. Caleb has a really strong foundation of faith. So therefore, I'm sure prayer and his family and all that will be big in what he decides to do. He's not going to be like some of the guys that's just going to up and move. But we'll talk about that a little bit in this program. 205-342-9904 is the number for the show. I believe Tyler is up first. Tyler in Atlanta. Let's go down to the ATL. Is it snowing down there? Icy rain, black ice? Tyler, what's happening?
He came from YouTube, by the way.
What's up, guys? We just got a little bit of cold weather, man. The Hawk is definitely out today, but I definitely want to thank you all for letting me be on the show, man. Corey, definitely love what you do, man. And just as a coach and just as a advocate for Bama football and Christian, man. Never forget the havoc that you and Terrell caused in that national championship game, the SEC championship, man. So,
yes, sir.
Just want to say shout out to you for that. I just want to come in, touch on two things, man. I'm kind of like everybody else, kind of in between on the coaching hire, kind of caught in the middle. But one of the things that I want to say, man, I'm kind of hesitant at Coach DeBoer is not to preview how to maneuver in the SEC. I think he's kind of with this mindset that this is a Pac-12 and we could just kind of move slow, kind of what Coach Corey touched on yesterday. T-Rob should have been offered a job Friday. And I think that T-Rob turned the job down mostly because there's ties to Muschamp, but I think some pride got into it as well. That should have been the first thing you did was how to keep the locker room together, how to keep the players in, and I hope he's pulling out all the stops to keep down. You know what I mean? I'm hopefully, meeting with his mom, his dad, or flying out to them, or, got Coach Morgan involved or whatever, bringing in Coach Saban to the meeting, former players. I mean, you got to pull out all the stops, man. We can't lose him, and I'm afraid that I'm just hoping that he knows how serious SEC football is, that you got to keep your stars in-house, man.
Yeah.
And Tyler, it's different. That's one of the things that people get mad at me, right? And they you too hard. But I just try to be real. And, SEC football recruiting is different. This landscape of college football is different. There's a reason why the SEC network is where it is. There's a reason why, Greg Sankey, the slogan, it just means more. There's a reason why year in and year out we say, the SEC is the best. There's a reason why there's more NFL players that goes to the pros from the SEC. There's a reason why more big-time recruits, the top-ranked recruits come to this conference. It's not the Pac-12. It's not the Big Ten. It's not, the Big Ten. This is different. And we have to be able to acknowledge that somebody just don't walk in and because they're a good guy, right, that they just going to change all of that. That's good.
Right.
and it's not personal. I mean, it's not personal. Excuse me. When I say these things, it's the fact that I understand it, and I understand that you better understand these are sharks, and they don't play fair. Kirby Smart ain't gonna play fair. They deal in the great. Money is involved, and anytime the dollar is involved, you got more problems. Like the song said, more money, more problems, right? It is what it is. And so we don't know. And if we don't know enough about said person, in this case, Kalen DeBoer, I get what he did at Washington, but I'm not going to be as big of a fan going 25-3 in the Pac-12 as what Georgia has done in the SEC. Am I making my point?
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
And my second thing was, Christian, I would love to know your insight on this with knowing Greg Byrne a little bit more than anybody else. Man, I was really an advocate for Coach Prime to come in next year after Shedeur and Travis went to the NFL, for him to come into Bama. And if he came into Bama, we'd probably have one player leave. But I wanted to know how realistic, with knowing Greg Byrne and the donors and boosters and all that, would they have even accepted Coach Prime if he was on the market?
You know, that's a great question, Tyler.
That's a great question, then.
Oh, man, that's tough, man.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, man, Tyler put me on the spot with that one. I'll be honest, man. It's hard for me to even envision, Coach Prime and his style, crossing with Alabama, just where, you know how it is. I mean, Alabama, man, we're very prideful with, tradition and the way we do things, and knowing how Coach Prime is, he's very progressive. He's very forward thinking.
Right.
I just don't know, man. That's a great question. I mean, and maybe I need to throw that one too, Mr. Byrne, if I see him next time. But no, I mean, look, on the field, I think he'd be great. And you talked about his influence in the locker room and being able to get the guys here. He definitely would do that. Now, it just would be tough knowing how. Look at our uniforms, man. They don't change, right? Coach Prime, he's coming in there changing the game. That's just the biggest. I think that'd just be too much of a conflict. But what do I know? You never know, man. I mean, it's 2024. Yeah. I've seen crazier things.
And it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because if I had 45 seconds with Greg Byrne, I would say, hey, listen, I know you weren't the AD that hired Saban, but that person was innovative, they were forward-thinking, and they were visionary. You have the opportunity to do the exact same thing. Even though our Caucasian donors and boosters may not all agree with Coach Prime and his ways and tactics, but listen, he is the future. If you don't want any drop-off in recruiting, if you want a leader of men, and if you want dominant in SEC and somebody who knows the South, he is a person that will make Kirby Smart lose sleep in recruiting battles. He's a person that will make LSU coach lose sleep in recruiting battles. Because it's all about recruiting. And that's another thing, too. I don't want Coach DeBoer to come in and think that these same 3 and 4 stars that he was offering at Washington can compete in SEC, because they honestly, they just can't. And that's why Washington and Pac-12, they don't go to the playoff every year, because they don't have the athletes. Of course, X's and O's and being smart and all this is cool, but you got to get those athletes in the building.
That's true. Man. We talked about it yesterday, but the good news is that Alabama A holds weight, Tyler. So I definitely think that Alabama A and our brand here will definitely help assist him in getting those guys. And it seems like they're already, hitting the ground running. I keep seeing reports of them reaching out. I saw that they've offered some guys. Look like some of them for the West Coast, but I did see that Courtney Morgan. Hey, look, Bryce Young came from the West Coast. All I'm saying is, it look like Courtney Morgan is trying to form some relationships with some of these high school coaches, which that's the right thing to do, because Alabama, we know down in Mobile, there's a lot of talent, right? We know in Louisiana, we get a lot of guys from there. Texas, Florida, South Florida, come on now. You got to have those relationships.
Got to be offering down here in the East. That's going to be if it was me, I'm just saying, that would be my number one concern. Unless you just got a dog out there on the West Coast. Tyler, thank you for the phone call, man. We sure appreciate it, brother.
You brother.
Listen, that was heavy.
That was good stuff, man.
That's real talk. That's what we are, man. Because listen, reality is probably most people couldn't accept Deion because of the flash. But
I would have a hard time seeing that, because look, I'll be honest. I like our tradition. I like everything that we stand for here. We're different, but he's got a point though. No, he's got a point though with the transfer portal, all this stuff, man.
He ain't done nothing with winning point. We can discuss that. I just think it's an intriguing conversation. right, we got to break, step away for a minute. We'll come back. More of your phone calls. We got people on hold. We
got some app messages.
Lower. We got app messages. Tide 100.9. Please download that. It's absolutely free for you. Christian Miller, Corey Miller. Oh, Haynes, the best reader in what we call that, West Alabama? Is it West Alabama?
Yes, sir. There you go. West Alabama. You got it right.
All right. In West Alabama, we'll come back right on the edge on Tide 100.9. We're the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
All right, let's see what we got. That's quite the thought. I'll be honest. I don't know if I see Coach Prime here, man. I think it's cool, but sometimes I wonder, man, if sometimes it gets a little bit it becomes too much of a distraction. But Tia says they offered T-Rob to be the first African-American defensive coordinator on MLK Day. LOL. Yes, Greg Byrne is progressive enough. I mean, that's fair, but Coach Prime, Tia, and you and I both know Coach Prime is different, man. I mean, he's on a whole nother level with with what they're doing over there. I mean, could y'all just imagine all these rappers around here? I don't know if some of these people are ready for that, man. That might be a little bit too much. But yeah, guys, you can always call in the show too if you guys want to hop on here. The number is 205-342-9904. Let me try to pin that real quick. Let me see. Wait, hold on. Let me edit this real quick, guys. All right, here we go. I put it on the banner. Welcome to the Miller's Edge Live radio show. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for the latest. Call in now to join the show, 205-342-9904. There's a number right there, folks. Roger says, great show. Glad I found y'all. Appreciate it, man. Make sure you subscribe and stay up to date, Roger, and anybody else that's just finding us. Appreciate you guys. I think we're about to go on in a second. Any word on special teams coordinator, Sam? Not yet. Not that I've heard, but we'll keep checking on it. Didn't love Coach Prime throwing his OC under the bus mid-season either. I mean, he's as real and raw as it gets. All right, here we go.
One double deuces is the time on the dial. You know what that means? 122. Central Time, 222. Right here in Columbia, South Carolina, where I am located. Christian Miller in studio in Tuscaloosa, as well as Noah Haynes, the best reader in West Alabama, 205-342-9904. Again, welcome all the good friends on our YouTube chat line, our podcast line. We love the fact that you were here with us, listening to the show live. We love the fact that all the great content and questions that you're bringing on there as well. But you can call 205-342-9904 is the number to the program. Let's go back out to the phones. Jay Wallace, you're up next here on the Miller's Edge. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate y'all taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Just a little bit about me real quick, and I got a couple of quick questions. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and retired Navy. I used to tell Coach at the football game when Barry was the coach.
Oh, wow.
So I've been around and been a Bama fan for 100 years. Watched Christian play, great guy, great, just, all around good player.
Thank you.
I see what he's saying about about the players now. People can't really compare what's going on now with the transfer portal, the NIL. And I was in the Navy 28 and a half years, and I've been retired for 10 years. And I actually work at UGA, and I've watched how they built the program based on pretty much Bama's program, but it's not the same.
Right.
The tradition we have is long-standing, and there has been a lot of changes. When Lane Kiffin came in, we got more offensive-centric, less of a defense, not as much running the ball, passing the ball. But at the end of the day, Coach Saban has done his time.
Right.
And when it's time for you to go, it's time for you to go. I did 28 and a half years in the Navy. I knew my time was up, but I wanted to go out like I came in, and that's what I did. And I think we're going to have to give the new coaches an opportunity to come in and see what they can do with the program. I really would rather see somebody else new come in rather than retreads. We saw a lot of the same coaches from Auburn to Florida to Georgia back to Alabama. And so we've got some new people coming in, and we're just going to have to be patient. And hopefully the players will understand that, the decisions they make now are going to impact them later on.
Yeah.
Christian, you've played on both levels. You've seen it. And people talk about loyalty, but I don't think it's as much loyalty as it is opportunity with the NIL and with the transfer portal.
100%.
So,
and none of us can't be mad. Nobody can be mad. We've said this, all of us. We're in concert when it comes to this, right? Because we don't know their situation. We don't know the family history, the background, but guys have come from bad, from me, 10 brothers and sisters, poor, all of us.
Yes, sir.
A single parent home for a while. I mean, so we understand, right, that we don't know the situation. And so therefore I'm never going to get mad at a kid despite how great Alabama or any school for that matter is.
Exactly.
If he decides to go and feel like, Isaiah Bond feels like, hey, Quinn Ewers is going to give me the best chance. Steve Sarkisian, his offense fits me better. My numbers going to be great. And by the way, I'm going to get a Lambo and some money on top of that. Oh, bro,
yes, sir.
I can't be mad at him.
Hey, I'm coming out of the bricks right across the street from Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. And my way out, I played football, but I wasn't on the level to play for Alabama. But Bobby Humphrey played at my high school, same neighborhood. He had an opportunity. A few people I played with had an opportunity to play in the league, but that's not forever. So I just hope that they can get, their situations. If it's the money, that's the incentive. A lot of these guys aren't going to make it to the pros. I mean, I think people don't understand that.
99%, if you're being honest, 99%.
Exactly. Got Heisman Trophy winners sitting at home.
Yep.
Right.
So it's a lot of opportunity. It has to be the right opportunity, the right situation. And for someone that's coming to the University of Alabama that's coming in, from a recruiting standpoint or from the transfer portal or whatever, they're going to have an opportunity. They're going to be representing the A, like we represent the A. I love Alabama. I love the state of Alabama. I've been around the world. I've been in Athens for almost 20 years now, and I'm still Roll Tide. So they know it. I work at the University of Georgia. It's Roll Tide. It doesn't change. It doesn't stop. People say, well, you've been living here long enough. I lived a lot of places. Lived in Japan, lived in other countries, and guess what? It's still Birmingham. It's Roll Tide, and our brand is worldwide.
That's right.
It really truly is. So,
Man,
we got to go through some bumps and bruises. Change is good, and it's inevitable. I'd rather it go down like this than Coach Saban being 74, 75, and starting to have any issues or whatever. I'm not wishing it on him, but we got a coach that's just here. Bear Bryant retired, and then a month later he was dead. So we don't want that. We want people to be able to go out on their own terms because it's a better product for us. And so they just had to get coaches there. What was available.
That's right.
Listen, man, this could be Jay Wallace. This is a great phone call. Thank you so much, man. Don't be a stranger to the program and call us back because I think your point.
And thank you for your service too.
Yeah, thank you so much for your service, my brother. And I think you're right with Coach Saban going on his own and being able to enjoy that $17 million mansion and playing some golf, eating some good food, and that brand is still what it is. Appreciate the call. All right, let's get to some app messages. Noah, the best reader in West Alabama, in my opinion, he's the best really in the state of Alabama, everywhere. And let's get to the Tide 100.9. There's free downloads for you there. If you can't get in on the phone lines, you can always talk to us this way. Noah, take it away.
That's right. We got a at message from Mike in Panama City Beach. He says, "I think the adversity of disruption will feed a stronger mindset for Bama players. The loyal that stayed, and the new players that will come in. Roll Tide."
I like that.
That's fair. I mean, and that's why I'm like, you just got to stick with the guys that you have. There's no need to bash the guys that leave. You just made a great point, and that's what we talked about. I mean, some guys feel like there's better opportunities elsewhere. That's fine. That's their right. Right? No need to be angry about it. I mean, we can be upset, but no need to bash people, right? Let them move on with their decision. Hope for the best for them. But I'm gonna ride with the guys that are here and that want to wear that crimson. We heard what Malachi Moore and Devontae Smith, those guys are coming out saying, I love that they're prideful in that. But here's the thing, I wish that there's a common balance between the two, because me as a person, I was explaining earlier, I love the brand, I love the loyalty to it. I also understand the business perspective of it. These guys do have brands. They are a brand, right? So I understand that. I just wish there's a common ground where you could really, ride the line where you're still loyal, you're prideful, but you also are maximizing. And you can do that. That's probably what guys like Malachi Moore and even Tyler Booker, they're talking about how much they enjoy being here at Alabama, but they're also going to be rewarded and compensated for their play. So there is a way to do that. Just unfortunately, some guys might not necessarily see that, but like I said, everybody has
they can have both. I mean, they can have both. I mean,
right.
This is a unique situation. I mean, you don't have Nick Saban's retiring every year.
Right.
I mean, you don't have that. I mean, 17 years of dominance in the state of Alabama. Before that, LSU won a national championship, was very successful at Michigan State. Went through the ranks with Belichick at Cleveland and went head coach at Miami. I mean, you don't have these. These are very things that don't happen normally. So it's causing a lot of emotions, right? Some good, some bad. Things are happening. This is Alabama. Why these, people are sitting on the outside saying, why do they want to leave? Why? We got this guy killing the poor. I mean, he's Michael Penix Jr. I mean, this guy was in New York for the Heisman and blah, blah, blah. But to these guys, they don't know them. And that means, so all these things are happening. They're going to go, a lot of them where they're comfortable. Some going to say, older guys may say, I've been here, I'm established, I got my girl, I got my place, I'm good, I got some money. I ain't trying to go nowhere else. But then there's going to be a pocket of guys that say, man, I'm trying to get paid. I don't know what this guy going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. Caleb Don might be sitting there like, I don't know, what's the defense going to look like? But, I know it's Alabama, but hey, what if I go to Georgia? I know what they put in the league. I know what Kirby Smart puts in the league. And plus, if he's going to offer $1 million, $2 million, these things are happening. Ain't nothing we can do about it. And ain't no need to get mad. If he says stay, great. I'm with him. I'm 100% with him. His dad's good people, his family good people.
Well,
he said, hey, I got to bounce, I bounce.
Well, and
that's what it is.
And that's a very valid point that you also have to consider, especially looking like in the pros, like I mentioned earlier about changing of schemes. That is a great point. Like there might be, if they do hire a certain D coordinator that runs a certain type of defense, some guys naturally might not be good fits for that defense. And so that's why I do respect them having that window, because that's very fair. Guys can get in some bad positions if they're not a good fit, right? And somebody new comes in. And we've seen that happen before. So, again, there's so many variables that go in all this. But you just got to, again, wait and see how things go on. But I think as they continue to add the coaching staff, they continue to start laying out their vision and get to know these guys, right? Things will start kind of taking shape, and that's all you can ask for. Real quick, I want to remind you guys about our good friends over at Alumni Hall in Midtown Village in Tuscaloosa. If you're looking for the latest and greatest Alabama gear, head on over to Alumni Hall. They've got the 2 for $38 deals on tees, right? It's cold outside. Go get your winter jackets, coats, all that Alabama gear right there at Alumni Hall. If you're not in Tuscaloosa, don't worry, folks. Head on over to alumnihall.com where the ultimate Crimson Tide fans shop.
All right, when we come back, speaking of staff, I do have some questions. Once again, I'm going to ask a question as I asked about the recruiting. I love the one keeper. I love the one keeper that he said, you got to stay. And I'm with Coach Galen DeBoer on this one. But the other one, they ain't just now. There's been some question marks. We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll take on my good friends at R&R Cigars. rnrcigars.com. If you're not in Tuscaloosa and you smoke cigars and you're looking for the best selection, the best humidor, or check them out online. All that stuff there, get you hooked up. You buy, they ship it to you for absolutely free. Put in that code, the Miller's Edge. Also, if you're in Tuscaloosa, go check them out. The Mansion, they like to call it. It's got a great front porch, got great chairs, great recliners, great flat screen TVs throughout private rooms. You want to have a party, you want to have a meeting, all that good stuff. They got you taken care of at R&R Cigars. Go see Reagan and Randy over at 6703. That's 27th Street, 6703, 27th Street, 6th Street, excuse me. Check them out. All right, we got to get to a break. Christian, who do you like that he's kept from the former staff? I'll ask you that next. The Edge. Back in a moment.
This is all right, folks. We've got about a half hour left. 27 minutes. 26 minutes now. Let's see. See what we have. Make sure I'm not behind on anything. All right. Got some people lined up. We'll get to them. Got some app messages as well. NIL is not killing college sports. Pay for play or unrestricted free agency is killing college sports, especially college football. Spot on, right? And the reason I say that is, look, if people, this is how it should work, right? All right, I'll say do's and don'ts. Do, you're at a school, you want to sell autographs, sell pictures, right? Sell some merchandise with your name, stuff on it. That's NIL, right? You're capitalizing off your name, image, and likeness. Given, you've made some great relationships in your community. People want you to be an ambassador for their business, their company, so forth. That's NIL. Those are the do's. The don'ts, pay for play, entice kids with money, Lamborghinis to leave said school, come to your school. That's where it's really being an issue, because it's really NIL is just turned into a recruiting tactic, if we're being honest with you, right? And that's the biggest issue. So who said that? MHS. Yeah, I agree with you. That's the biggest issue right there, is the pay for play, right? That if that's the case, we might as well have contracts, because guys kind of can up and leave. And again, I'm not saying they shouldn't. I think the transfer portal is good. Again, like, your coach leaves, you should have an opportunity to explore options, because you might not be a great fit. You might have other things that come up. But when people are, leaving 2-3 times and it's just chasing money, I think, it's kind of, in my opinion, ruining the game, right? Again, if you haven't noticed, I always end up kind of somewhere in the middle. I'm like the voice of reason. Let's see. Sam says, I think that Roach could have been moved to OLB. Gillespie is a keeper. Yeah, spot on. I think he could, right? He could move to outside linebackers. I think that'd be good for his progression too as a football coach. If he wants to be, let's say, a defensive coordinator one day, it helps being more of a outside linebackers coach than a defensive line coach. Why? Because outside linebacker coach is now responsible for, what's happening up front on the defensive line, but also behind you. You got to have an understanding of coverages. So it actually would help him out if he moved to the outside linebacker coach too. So that's a really good point. But both great additions. Robert Gillespie actually recruited me to Tennessee when I was coming out of high school, and Coach Roach, man, that's my guy. We're close. I like him a lot. He's a good football coach, great recruiter. Played here at Alabama, so I think that was a no-brainer, right? You got to keep a guy like that on your staff. Roger says, has NCAA lost control of things, needs to be revamped? I think they kind of just opened the floodgates, and there's no parameters or legislation that is in place right now to prohibit teams or coaches or people from soliciting guys and trying to recruit them using money. So with that being said, yeah, they definitely need to come up with some type of guidelines to improve things. Let's see, my producer's messaging. Okay. Brett says the thing about Prime is hype is nothing but hype. Consistency is what makes a great coaching team. 100%. You gotta be consistent. That's why I said, even when I was talking about, I loved everything I heard from Coach DeBoer and the press conference, but I just remind you guys that, winning the press conference is not conducive to winning on the field. Here we go.
100.9, 1230. WTBC, I just want to correct myself because I misspoke. 27036th Street is the address to the mansion over at R&R Cigars, rnrcigars.com. I just want to make sure I got that right. I keep looking at stuff and I got two computers in front of me, so I get a little bit confused. I'm getting a little old, but hey, thank God for getting old. Real quick, though, I do want to say this, guys. I want to say this. The guy asked me about Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. Listen, if you're looking at the record of Coach Prime, Jackson State was amazing. He's, got to Colorado, all the hype. We get all the hype. You know what he brings to the table. But there's, the guy asked you, Christian, I would definitely been fine with it because I'm that dude. I'm that guy. A lot of people we know Alabama, you talking about the tradition, the brand, they couldn't have handled change that way, the significance of that type of change, a guy that wears shades at his press conference and, the guy that's dancing in the locker rooms and things like Coach Nick Saban been dancing in the locker room too.
Oh, man, that's a different type of dancing. Come on, man.
I'm just saying, Coach Prime, when you talking about today's age kid, if you go look at the video, you're talking about a kid that tells a kid they got to sit, his players, you got to sit in front of the class, right? You can't wear slides to class. He hold them accountable about being a young man,
you're talking about Prime?
Prime. Yeah, Prime.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? No, he does carry a lot of those old
Prime is a leader of men.
No, he is.
He motivates. He's a master motivator.
He is, and I respect all that.
I'm not saying he's a great coach, but I'm saying he's those things.
No, he is those things, and I agree. I respect that about him because being at Alabama, again, when you sign up to play for Coach Saban, like you have to adhere by those things. Like you don't wear hats in the building. Like if someone sees you wearing a hat in the building, they tell you to take it off. Like to me, those little details, that level of discipline is what made us so great, right? I would never. I know people got mad and gave Tom Brady flack when he compared football to the armed services when he was talking about the level of discipline. So I'm not trying to do that. I don't want to offend anybody, but I appreciate and respect that level of discipline because I think it does take you a long way, right? With that being said, the only thing about Prime that's interesting is he does preach that, but then sometimes I don't know if he himself follows it, right? Because the way he acts, I'm like,
wait, what do you mean you don't?
Because I'm saying he tells them not to wear hats in the building, but then he's wearing like shades and all his stuff, what he wants to wear at a press conference. So to me, I'm just kind of like Coach Saban, he's not preaching to us anything that he's not going to do. That's my only thing I would say. People might not like what I just said.
I
didn't say he's not great. He is great. He is great, right? But I'm just saying that's the only thing about him that kind of sometimes I'm like, well, if you're going to be that hard on the players, then he should kind of follow that same thing. That's all I'm saying. I think we got a bunch of app messages if you want to hit a couple real quick. Noah, do you feel like reading some more? I know you enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. We can get to a couple of these. I know we've got an app message from Johnny G in Mobile talking about Coach Womack. He says, watched Coach Womack from the beginning at USA. Got to be honest, not a hire that would make me stay at UA if I was looking to my future. He says, Womack equals Golding. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
It sounds like he's saying that in a negative way.
Yeah, he's saying that Kane would not move the needle for him to make him want to stay at Alabama. He's not.
Oh, he meant as a player. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I get it now. He was saying as a player that wouldn't be.
Right. He said he's just the same kind of dude as having Pete Golding as a defensive coordinator. That's what he says.
I mean, like I said, you just got to wait and see, man. I think the guy could really end up being a good football coach, but
I don't know. I'm gonna say it again. I don't know. I'm still learning, just like you.
Yep.
I will look at more film. What I do know. And I'm not going to be that dude, a reporter, analyst, or radio host to tell you just because I'm a fan of Alabama, which I am. I'm not going to sit here and go, home run higher. Oh, my God, this guy, he shut down Oklahoma State. And let me X this all over the place. Then I'm going to go show you, well, Central Michigan did the same thing. Central Michigan did the same thing. So we can't use that. He's ranked here. It is what it is. It is a conference that a lot of it has to do with. And the Big Ten, how many great offenses are in the Big Ten? So we have to look at these things, not being negative, but being real. Real, sometimes you just got to be real.
So let me, I guess what I would say, do you have any positives that you get out of it? I think that's where some people kind of just get, when they think you're being negative.
Here's a positive.
I'm just saying that in 2020 he was a finalist for the Bros Award. That's a positive. All I'm asking is, I mean, do you consider any of that? To me, I just think as much as you are real about things, I think it's fair to say you could point out the positives too, right? Like there's a reason, like, you know, he did some good stuff. To me, I think that's worth noting. That shows some promise. Am I wrong there?
But yes, but I could say a lot of people did a lot of good stuff.
Oh,
but is that
negative Nancy here, man?
But is that guy potentially the right guy for? This is the University of Alabama.
I agree.
You're replacing freaking Nick Saban. And I don't take that lightly.
You're repeating what I said earlier. That's exactly what I said.
My point is like, hey, this is the guy. You're replacing the GOAT. Can he be the GOAT? If you want to hear something positive, maybe. But I'm telling you, I don't know. But I'm not going to be.
We get it. You're going to keep it real.
Optimistic all the time and say this is a home run hire because a guy spent 2 years at Indiana. He's a head coach at South Alabama. I can say, can he coach ball? Yes, he can coach ball because he wouldn't be in the position that he's in. He wouldn't have had those jobs. So does a lot of people. But my point is for the fan bases, you have to be open-minded. You can be optimistic, right? You can be optimistic all you want. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But you can't sit here and listen to people and don't tweet Xing me to death about y'all got a home run hire. Most people are going to laugh at that besides most Alabama fans. Let's see. That's all I'm saying.
You think they're going to laugh at this? But again, no one. To me, I just think it's silly to laugh at stuff. I mean, you're entitled to do anything, but nobody know. Again, people have to remember that the big name people were once little name people. I think people forget that, right? I mean, again, we talk about how great the 2015 staff was.
The Bible even tells you don't despise small beginnings, right? It tells you that.
Right. So all I'm saying is, as much as we talk about the 2015 staff and how great it was, which it was, I was a member of that team when we won the national championship, beat Clemson in Arizona. I was a redshirt freshman that year. We had Mario Cristobal. We had all these big guys. I mean, Billy Napier, right? I mean, I'm drawing a blank because there's literally so many. Kirby Smart. Every coach on that roster, pretty much position coach, went on to be head coach. So 80% of them. But at the same time, they had to work their way up. They came from somewhere. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just a firm believer, man.
I mean, yes, that's why I said I don't know, because I'm not saying. If I would sit up here and say he can never be this and he can't do this, then I'm being negative. I never said that. I said I don't know.
I was just challenging you to point out. So give me one positive about him. I just hadn't heard you really give a positive.
But there ain't enough positive about him that I know enough. I don't. That's what I don't know.
Yeah, you just choose to see that. I mean, I just gave you one.
That's why I love the fact that
a finalist for a World Award here, right? To me is a good attribute. That's a good accolade.
But I mean, a lot of people go to the Pro Bowl.
Has T-Rob ever been a finalist for a Bros Award? I'm not knocking. I love T-Rob. That would have been my first choice. I'm genuinely asking. I'm just calling a spade a spade. No. I'm calling a spade. I'm calling a spade a spade.
T-Rob can go down there in the hood and go down these other places.
See, now you deflected something else. That's not what I asked you. You're deflecting.
T-Rob go to that locker room. He can go to that locker room. You're deflecting. And he has influence with those players that Bama want to keep.
I'm not arguing that. I agree 1,000%.
T-Rob called the plays last year, so Nick Saban, the GOAT, thought enough about him to do that.
He did call the plays.
What I can
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing any of that. But you're deflecting from the question I asked you. Has T-Rob been a finalist for a Bros Award?
If he was not worth that, right?
Again,
then Mr. Kalen DeBoer would not come back a second time and go give the man what he wanted to come to Alabama if he wasn't that important.
Again, I just said he would have been my first choice. I think he would have been, and not even just mine. He clearly was the first choice. I said that earlier on the stream in the show. He was the first choice. They circled back to him again. We know that. That's not, but we're past that. He turned it down. So what I'm asking you is, has T-Rob been a finalist for the Bros Award? All I'm saying is, if we're going to be critical or point out these things, I'm going to look at their resume and point out some of the positives.
I'm not from the school to give everybody, give them a trophy.
It's not that. It's just being, if you're going to be real, you have to be real both ways. You can't pick just one side of it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to be the guy to try to find something if it's not there. I can say, I don't know. I hope he is. But at this point today, this date, there's nothing wrong to say, I don't know enough about this young man. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he can. The jury is still out, and that's not negative. That's being fair. Period. I've got to hit a break. Well, I'm going to ask you the question, though. He's kept a couple people on staff. We'll talk about them. Plus, we got more app messages and phone calls to close out the show. right here on a Tuesday. Good stuff right here. This is the Miller's Edge on the time 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. We'll be back in a moment.
See, people don't want to answer when you just ask them a fair question, man. Let's see. Deborah agrees. What's going on, Ryan? Ryan? Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Thank you.
You keep rallying?
No. He can't be any worse than Pete Golden, Pastor. That's I didn't say that's the comments. I'm reading comments. What else do we have here? No, you better play that the sweetest taboo song. Oh, you about to play it? Oh, you already did? Stand your ground, Christian. Oh, I'm always going to do that, guys. Don't worry about that. I'm always going to do that. Don't worry. Your dad's a trip. Christian, are you and your dad going to be at the 8-day game? I'll be there. I don't know about him. Love the new time and stream. Thank you, Dr. Crystal. Good to see you. Glad you're hanging out with us. Yeah, we're enjoying this, man. I was very optimistic I'd be able to figure it out, and luckily Noah helped me get it all set up. So now we've married the two, and we're rolling, man. So appreciate everybody in here. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. That helps us out. Leave some comments. You guys are already doing awesome, man. Trying to get some of them and do the best I can. But man, I appreciate everybody hanging out, man. This is fun. Because now you guys can hear us every day, right? Before we just were coming on here about once a week, and people wanting us to do more. Then people radio show wanting us to do more. So now we've got 2 hours, and we've got the stream going at the same time. So, do you know if they offer T-Rob the full DC position with the brokerage? From my understanding, Mike, yeah, and probably even more, if we're being honest. But they definitely offer him the full DC for sure, and a very pretty penny. Thanks for doing this, Steve Miller. Man, no problem, man. This is what we enjoy doing, man. Not a problem. With the new times, we've got plenty of opportunities. If you guys know anybody that owns a business or a company, whether it's in Tuscaloosa or outside of Alabama, let me know, man. We've got plenty of sponsorship and marketing opportunities, advertising, that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to be a partner of the show, let us know. We've got some more opportunities that opened up now that we have 2 hours. So yeah, Mike said, wow. Yeah, man. Yeah, they trust me. All I can tell you is they definitely offered him pretty much anything he could have wanted. All right, here we go. Last segment. We got about 8 minutes coming up. Again, man, appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with us. Last segment. Here we go. Adam said, always a great show. Appreciate it, Adam. Glad to see you're in here, man. All right. The respectful banter. Hey, man, he gives it to me. I'm going to give it back to him. Always respectfully.
Is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
I'm going to pick that bone, y'all. Let's do it. All right, final segment of the program here on Tuesday. Corey Miller, Christian Miller, Noah Haynes. Let's get as much as we can here, though, real quick. We got some calls. We got some tied app, things like that. But real quick, Christian, here's some positivity, y'all. Jeff Allen, the best freaking keeper in America, the trainer at Alabama. Love him and his staff and everybody over there. Nobody does it better. That's great. But one thing we'll maybe talk about this tomorrow, Christian, but the strength coach who has relationship with Kellen DeBoer is going to be kept. I know not just me. A lot of people have questioned about the strength coach. So he looks like he is going to be retained.
I haven't heard people questioning Coach Butler.
Well, I mean, I've heard people on shows say. I mean, I don't know him.
I know him personally, and I'm telling you right now, those guys do a phenomenal job with the sports science aspect in terms of giving those guys what they need to do sport-specific workouts, getting them prepared to play, injury prevention, right? They work hand in hand with guys like Jeff Allen, Clay, Keith, guys who are in that kind of mix to really look, man, they have a really nice system going. So I don't know who's saying that, but
it's radio, it's people.
No. I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm saying that's no, and but I didn't say that. All I'm saying is I know these people personally. Now I respectfully disagree. That's all I'm saying. Now, would I love to have the influence that like Coach Cochran had because he was like the heart and soul of the team? Because when I was there, that was huge. Sure, but I'm not talking about in the weight room stuff at all. But Coach Cochran was, Coach Cochran was invaluable, man, to any program. I mean, he's just special, man. Let's get all these app messages that we have, and we had a couple calls.
Let's Noah, you be the key drive. We got Ellis and we got Tommy on the phone. So which one do first?
So do you know? How many app messages do we have?
I just had a quick one.
Oh yeah, you can do a quick one. Ellis, hold on 1 second. We're gonna do an app message while you're on the line. How about that?
Goodbye.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, just a quick one from Willie from the Western Slope, talking about his confidence and the Greg Burns hire for the new coach. He said, "Did Coach Oates have any problems recruiting in the South and the SEC? He is from Detroit and coached at Buffalo." Yeah, and that was one of the references I made.
Oates from Detroit or from New York?
He's not from. We talked about this. He's actually from, I think, Wisconsin or something. He's from somewhere else. Maybe it is Michigan, but he coached at Buffalo, but he was not from there. I think he's from the Midwest. With that being said, that's why I was saying, is it impossible for Coach DeBoer to come down here and recruit? Absolutely not. No, I mean, he knows he's going to have to take the necessary steps, whether, that's bringing Courtney Morgan to help assist that, retaining guys like Freddie Roach or Gillespie with ties. He's going to have to do some necessary steps. Now, he's got his work cut out for him, but that's why I said yesterday, I definitely think, some people were blowing it out of proportion that he won't be able to at all. That's all I'm saying. But Ellis, good to have you on here, man. How's everything going?
Hey, congratulations on the new time slot and more time. This is awesome.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that, man.
I tried to call in yesterday, but it was extremely busy, so I had to call in today and congratulate y'all.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we got to get to phones as
you want
as we can.
Miller's Edge fave. You're in the fave like in the contact.
That's right.
Well deserved. But all these Alabama people think it snowed down there.
There's a little sleet, a little bit of ice.
Come up here. I got 5 to 6 inches of snow.
I'm good on that, man.
Where you at again, Ellis?
He's in Tennessee.
Yeah. But I'm optimistic about the future of Alabama. Our defensive coordinator, from what I heard, he's good. He likes to swarm defense and after the ball, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I mean, that's how you play really good defense, man.
Fun. I mean, I'm looking forward. I want to see run and hit. We want to see run and hit. That's the bottom line, Ellis. So,
not pessimistic like somebody that always told me I was. I'm optimistic about everything.
There you go.
They call me pessimistic, but I'm just.
He calls me too optimistic. So you'll just be right down the middle, Ellis. How about that? Well, Ellis, we're running out of time, but we appreciate you checking in with us, man, on a new slot, and look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Good stuff again. Once again, I get my phone off the table because some blowing me up. I think it's Noah said get out of here. But it's been a great show. Thank you, everybody, on our YouTube Extra. We'll be doing this every single day, inviting you into our space and the program. And we always thank you good folks at Tide 100, 1230 AM WTBC. Don't forget to download that free app. Call in. You can ask a question. You can leave a voice message on that. Noah will read it for you. We got a great lineup in the morning. I'm Martin Houston. You got the voice Memphis Perry. You got a lot of great shows here. And, of course, coming up next, Ryan Fowler. He have all his people ready, locked and loaded to go at it for the next 4 hours on the Tide 100.9. The game's coming up next. Christian Miller, Will Haynes, I'm Cornell Pastor. Man, God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. See you tomorrow.
See you guys.